Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome once again to this wonderful refresher course on indirect taxes. Today it's a pleasure. I'm joined by a faculty. Someone who I can say is an authority on this topic, indirect taxes, and also the thoughts that he has, the entire approach that he has towards anything towards life. I think it's a great lesson for all of us, if at all we could learn, if at all one of these techniques that he has adopted to not only grow as a professional but also as a wonderful mentor. I think it will really help all of us in a very big manner. I also have with us our regional council member, my colleague in the council from Nagpur, Abhijit Kelkarji, the coordinator Satna Lunawat ji with me. To start off with, I will request Abhijit ji to please introduce the faculty, and of course you come from again a very good indirect tax background, so you may please address and please introduce Krishnan sir today for us.
Yes, thank you Arvind bhai for your words. Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to introduce just a minute. It's a pleasure to introduce CA AR Krishnan sir. Shri A. Krishnan sir is a BCom honors as well as CWA and FCA as well. He stood 22nd in intermediate CA examination, and he's also a law graduate, and he's a practicing chartered accountant since 1981. His present area of expertise and practice are service tax and GST at both advisory and litigation. His clients are mainly large corporates in the service sector. He has handled litigation in the area of service tax at the SESTAT tribunal level and briefed lawyers of high courts and Supreme Court's hearing. Friends, he has contributed to the study material on service tax when it was first introduced in CA final as a subject. He lectures on service tax and GST at various forums, seminars, conferences, and also contribute articles in various periodicals. He has spoken at several places all over India in various forums, including at National Academy of Customs, Indirect Taxes, Narcotics, at Bhandup, Mumbai, and so on, and at various departmental forums. Friends, he has also made several pre-budget and post-budget representation to Ministry of Finance, Government of India on the topic of service tax. Sri Krishnan has been a member of various committee of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, WIRC, BCAS, and Chamber of Tax Consultants. Friends, he has been featured as one of the top 10 indirect tax advisor in India based on a survey conducted by International Tax Review. So we have with us a towering personality to talk on the subject of GST, in which he is a master. So I welcome Krishnan sir, and thank you for your gracious presence, and I'm sure your words of wisdom will be benefited, and everyone who is listening will be happy to know about the subject under consideration and to learn so many things from. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhijit Dada. Absolutely an academician par excellence, and not only that, but a guide and a mentor to so many of us chartered accountants. He is as unique as the A that you see in his presentation, the colorful with some dots. Till today, no one has been able to decode what is this logo for, but yes, it is always there in his presentation. Again, as unique as this logo is this session today. Thank you, Krishnan sir, for making this. Before we could start, for all the members who have joined us, I would request you to please, there's a Telegram channel, official Telegram channel of WIRC that we have launched, WIRC Connect. So in order to know and understand what all updates are happening at WIRC, please feel free to subscribe to that channel and follow, stay in touch with WIRC. And should you have any issues or something, you can write back on that number as well. Thank you. With this, I request Krishnan sir to please take the proceedings ahead. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Arvind. Thank you, Abhijit. Thank you very much for a very elaborate and perhaps an undeserving introduction. And you always, Arvind has always showered much more than I deserve. As you grow older, you are like a child, and by nature I am like a child. So if somebody like children, if you tell them you are very good, you feel very happy about it. It's a sense itself, is always there in your face, and that's there. My daughter is sitting in front of me. She also knows by nature I'm a very lively personality and a bit childish. So I take your compliments with that childlike innocence, and I'm very happy about it. But of course, for the audience, whatever people say, you always must know, you must discount it and take the right perspective. Now let me handle one by one. First of all, all my presentations, Arpit, you said that what it means is those days, see, the charm of speaking, I've been compromised due to lockdown by webinar. I have enjoyed speaking in a seminar with the mic moving about from about 100 people audience to about 4,000 with the sense of humor. And I think the live audience is the best audience. And many times those days, WR used to give me post-lunch session because that was most difficult for a speaker. So I used to always start my presentation. The A indicates, if you see all movies, it is A, U, and U. No, service tax those days, GST, it's all messed up. So it is only for adults. That's most. As regards the color blue, don't expect anything. Yeah, because that is just incidental. Okay, that's it. So that's significant. As regards the topic, hi Manish. I think Manish, the chairman, has come. Thanks, Manish. You want to say something, Manish? Manish, do you want to say something?
No, sir, I just came to hear you.
Oh, thank you very much.
I just want to say one thing. The GST or service tax, whatever I learned from Krishnan sir. And today also I came here just to hear him. So over to you, sir.
I am honored, Manish. Thank you very much. I know every year in Buddha Purnima, you don't forget to send an SMS. But let me tell you, whatever I have done is, I would say, a very humble thing which my predecessors or mentors have done. I have not done anything more. And I'm a very simple, humble person. I remain like that. Anyway, so coming back to this topic, let me move on from the blue color. And the topic title is very interesting. You have written how to handle department audit under GST. This word handle is very important. Now, this is like the question, how to handle your wife. Now, I don't think there is no answer to that. Yeah. So, at least those who are married and reached my age, after 35 years of marriage, and I'm telling this, though my daughter is sitting next to me, my wife is not here, because I have come in another thing. So, this sort of topic you are giving me, all the others earlier you gave all subtopics on a particular academic subject. But in my case, you have written how to handle. This is the same question, how to handle your wife. But I have ventured out and tried to see whether when the department, basically what's the topic like, that the GST is on and there are people coming, they come to you, once the year is over, department audit takes place every year. How to handle that situation? That is the topic. So let me see, let's move on. And Vaibhav, what happens to the questions? Anybody will be reading out the question, Sapna or Arpit or anybody?
So we'll show you at the end.
In the end, the questions will be seen. Okay, fine. Okay, so now let's look at the next slide, please, Girish. Yeah. What's the scope of this topic? Basic legal provisions of department audit. 4 areas are there. What are legal provisions? That's very important. Areas which the department check. What are the areas they would like to check? Preparatory measures. So first is As a professional, you must know what is the legal provisions which gives the teeth for the audit. And then second is, how do you look at the areas which the department may check? Then of course the preparatory measures, what sort of measures you can take and be ready, be on guard. And then what is the ground handling, this level, how do you handle the person? There's a caveat here, lecture is not on the legal issues which department take up. That we've already seen in the previous seminars. What is the input credit? There are so many other legal provisions. You know, when which the department take in while scrutinizing annual return, reconsider statement, but how you can prepare and handle all. Legal provisions, they are part of a different topic. At this stage of the evolution of law, both the taxpayer and the tax gatherer are in the dark because GST is a new bomb, like nobody knows. So the faculty, well, I am also in the same boat. But what a little we have gathered from our earlier days of service tax audit, plus our understanding, and in the last few years, what things are happening, I have organized a presentation. Next slide, please. Basic legal provisions. Next slide. Vaibhav, you're there?
Yes, sir.
What I feel is, you know, to the end, if you keep the questions, it may not be very relevant. After any section, we'll have the questions because people forget and it should be relevant to that. Okay?
Okay, sir. Okay.
I'll ask you, are there any questions? Then you tell me whatever.
Okay.
Will they be asking orally or by in writing it will be put here?
Sir, in writing message.
Fine, thank you. Basic legal provision, audit of an entity. Now, this is provided in section 65 of the CGST Act, read with rule 1 of the CGST, audit by tax authorities. And the department is authorized to do the audit under this section. There is an elaborate rule also. Department, there is another audit. This is the section 65 audit, is a normal audit where the department is authorized. But sometimes the commissioner may feel during a scrutiny or inquiry, or if he feels that value is not being declared, ITC is not availed properly, he may, you know, with prior approach, direct the entity to get recorded through a chartered accountant. So he may direct the entity to get his account audited by a CA or a CWA nominated by the commission. It will be nominated by them. Maybe he'll give about 3-4 names. You have this in income tax also. Okay. This is called a special audit. Actually, under section 66, where he feels that in addition to the department audit, you need a profession also to do an audit. Of course, this lecture today, the focus of this is only on section 65 audit. There is an audit by the department. We are not here on the special audit. Next slide, please. Now, what is an audit has been defined in section 213 of the CGST Act. Audit is the examination of records. Now, this is very important. We are all from the audit stream. Our things have changed in the institute, but in the earlier years when I did my articles, audit was the in and out of a chartered account. So we know what's an audit. But then the CGST Act itself also defines what's an audit. So you must look at that too, because that's what is relevant. They are not interested in too wide a spectrum. And incidentally, they also don't have time. So they'll come for a very limited audit. And what's the scope? Which is there in section 213 of the CGST Act, read with rule 101(3). In the end of this presentation, which I am told will be shared with you, I have given all the acts and the rules. which are relevant. Audit is an examination of records, books, returns, and statements to determine the correctness of the turnover declared. On the turnover, of course, you will find out whether it's exempted turnover, what is the deduction claim from the turnover, all those things. So the turnover declared, the starting point will be the turnover. What is the tax paid? Has it been correctly paid? Is the rate has been correctly applied? Is any abatement claim? All those things would be seen. Then what is the refund claim? Input tax credit availed and utilized. 20. Input tax credit availed and utilized. Then assess the compliance with the Act and rules made. There's also an assessment made whether have you complied with the Act and the rules. Filing of periodical GST returns, allowing payment tax, etc. And then, of course, the law will always provide other relevant issues. So, the Department Audit, while he may look at from his GST perspective, in that perspective, he's got quite a wide coverage. He starts with the turnover, he looks at the taxes, he looks at where the refund claim. I think much of the problem, 1/3 of the problems will be on the claiming of input tax claim. Why even more than that? If you see the legacy of excise law as well as service tax law, more than 1 out of 3 cases are on claiming of credit. So claiming of credit is here also would be a very major issue which is subject to scrutiny. Of course, all that other things will be compliances and all will be much easier, but credit claim sometimes can be a very, very uphill task. And here, in the current scenario in GST, that has become a bit more difficult thanks to the portal, which I feel has become immortal. Everything revolves around the portal. The portal will decide what you have to do, what you can claim, how you have to do. All that. Next slide, please. Basically, an audit is done for the financial year, though they can do for the part or multiple thereof allowed. So you can have for 2 years, you can have part of a year, etc. It will be done at a place of business or at a department's office. Department say, you come here, you bring everything to me. Or they may come to your place and they may do it at you. So both are possible. Department will give 15 working days notice period before commencement of audit. And this has to be given in form GSTA ADT 01. So they'll give you a notice. It has to be completed within a period of 3 months from the date when records are made available to them, or actual institutional audit at place of business, whichever is later. So what is an actual institution? Because the rule says actual institution, but it is not very clear what is an institution. So one has to interpret this as actual initiation. Whenever they initiate the audit, and not when they give the notice, you say that the audit is available, the records are available. Then when you initiate, within 3 months from that day, you will have to, from that day you have to complete the audit. Of course, the commission may extend by a further period, not exceed 6 months, if audit cannot be completed. Taxpayer to provide necessary facilities for verification of books. So necessary facilities very wide. So if he comes there, he should have access to the records. If your records are in the system, then you will have to decode it, give the password, you should be able to see it. Yeah, and also a place to sit. It should be, the facility should be taken care of. The books of accounts should be available, records should be available, and furnish the required information, render assistance for timely completion. So the onus is on the assessee to give the necessary inputs required for the audit. That's a very important thing. and give them whatever assistance required. Next slide. Audit findings to be finalized after consideration of replies made by a taxpayer to discovery noticed by the auditor. So it has been finalized. The rule also says Rule 1014. In fact, after the audit is over, he has to give a opportunity to the SSE to counter any of his allegations, any of his observations. Then after considering the reply, he has to give his findings. The findings has to be finalized. An audit report will be furnished within 30 days of completion, containing his findings with reasons. We have seen many times findings are there, but no reasons are there. Absolutely no reasons. Very cryptic. And there's a preconceived mind to issue a show cause notice. But actually, this law is very clear. You have to give reasons. And this is something, in fact, you'll see wherever I use the word yellow, it means you need to be very careful. It's got a important significance. Taxpayers' rights and obligations. Now, if you see rights, I have never seen any audit report which talks about the taxpayer's rights. It only talks about his obligations to pay tax. So sometimes some sort of aggressive think that if you don't pay, show cause notice will be issued, penalty will be there, etc., etc. This is something new, which says that you'll mention the rights. I don't think what rights they'll mention, I don't know. But let's wait and watch what rights they will indicate. If tax is not paid, short paid or incorrect credit taken, proceedings for show cause notice will be taken initial in section 7. So far I can see all this is documented, formalized, but it's all on the same lines which we have seen in our legacy in service tax and excise. So this is how but they have operationalized a bit more formal as compared to the service tax thing. A proper section is there, proper rule is there. They have, in fact, I understand they also have prepared a departmental audit manual also, which is also available in the website for you if you want to. There are some circulars also about audit. There is a GST minutes also, 9 GST minutes talks about all that. So you can have a look on all these. Next slide. Access to registered premises, which is very important. Every word is important. Registered premises. Access, section 71. Proper officer authorized by the Joint Commission shall have access to any place of business to inspect the following. Books of accounts, you can access the books of accounts. Documents, that is the input credit vouchers, he has to see. In some cases, it means digital form, sometimes digital signature is not available. So it may be in some other, in a physical form. Computers, and then computer programs or software, whether installed or otherwise. So it may be installed there or anywhere else. If the server somewhere else, he must have access to that. So he can, if necessary, decipher and decode whatever is there in the books. Other required things available at that. For audit, scrutiny, verification and checks, as may be necessary to safeguard the revenue interest. My apologies. So, very important thing here comes, what is books of accounts? So, books of accounts today nobody has it in the heart. I think the company, I'll be looking at shared services separately, but we have situations where they have registration all across India. And the entire accounts, everything is centralized through the head office. Of course, access is there all over the place to each registered premise. Important is that in many cases, the accounting and the housekeeping people are in the head office, or they have something called the shared service concept, where one company does the entire housekeeping of accounts, taxation, GST, everything for about 10 satellite companies. And we know today shared service is one of the biggest, shall I say, fashion of the day. They feel that there is an economies of scale, and hence one company does the housekeeping, the accounts, audit, internal audit, handling the auditors, income tax, everything, and they may sit in Gurgaon or in Chennai or in Mumbai and for 10 other satellite companies. And each of those satellite companies will have another 10 registries. So all is done by them. Issue is one of those 10 companies, and in that one of those 10 companies, one of the branches are audited, say in West Bengal. And the officer comes, and if he is a state officer, he roars. Where is the books of? Then you start explaining, we got something called shared services, this, that, that fellow sitting Gurgaon, this, that, he will not understand anything. He'll say books of accounts, ought to have maintained at the principal place of business. It's not maintained, finished. So you have to ensure that accounts attributable to the West Bengal registration is available at the offices there. Okay, accounts will be available, but the guy there will not know to answer ABCD because he is in operation. He doesn't know anything about GST because it's all now autopilot. Only one central shared service brain is there. Whether in Gurgaon, whether in this is all to optimize cost. How do you handle such situations? I think there are challenges. There has to be some mechanism where that shared service company, it has got 10 companies, and each company has got 8 registered, it's got 80. So they'll have to handle it from there. And necessarily, if the fellow says you come over to Calcutta, then you'll have to go there and explain to you. Because the person there at the register office in Bengal is purely doing operations. He may not know anything about account. He may not know anything about GSTR 9 or 9C or annual return 3B, 3A. He will not know. He say, I know ABCD, but I don't know 3A, 3B. So it's become very, very important in such cases that when the 15 days notice is come, enough arrangement is made that somebody who is knowledgeable at the Calcutta or West Bengal thing. See, there could be regional office also. So anybody from the region goes there. Yeah. Or a place like Bangalore or Bangalore. So this is very important. Access to registered premises. Why? Because that registered premises registered, the requirement that registered premises, you must have the books of accounts. If you don't keep and you say shared services, my central office is doing this, I don't know GST, I don't know anything. Say, if you don't know, why did you register these premises? Only to send goods and services. And if it is manufacturing, I don't see any problem. Generally, they'll have a good in-house accounting team. But in the service sector, there's every possibility that they may not know anything. So you need to take care of this important thing which is happening today in the concept of shared services. Otherwise, you may land up into a lot of issues. Okay. Next slide. This webinar I'm certainly missing out because I know that when I do a slide like this, face to face, I can see the audience. I can see one or two people not in sync, ask them questions. But then let's hope this corona goes and we also will be able to meet face to face. Then the next continued, person in charge of the reserve shall on demand make available. This is what section 71 says. Records prepared and maintained by him. Trial balance or equivalent. So, for that section, you do your accounts for the whole company. But you should be able to give him trial balance for that or something equivalent to that. Annual financial statement duly audited wherever required. You may consider when the auditor is doing for the whole company. Also do for each premises. one audited statement, because that will become easy. Otherwise, you have to prepare for a person who's doing a Calcutta GST audit. You have to give the entire financial statement, give all the 8 registration, and he will look into all the other 8. And he may say, why in Calcutta turnover is less, my tax payment here is less, etc., etc. So you may consider that your statements, which is consolidated into audited statements of the corporate accounts, to be audited wherever required. Cost audit report, of course, he has got access to tax audit report, any other relevant record, he can make it on demand and you have to make it available. For scrutiny of the proper officer, audit party, and in case it is under that special audit, CA or CWA, within 15 days or such for the period may be allowed. So this is an important challenge here in companies, large companies, got multi-registration, centralized accounting, shared services, all this, you will be ready. Why am I saying this? Because better to anticipate in advance rather than fiddle around at that time. Now itself you can explain to your client, this is how we should be ready for. Forewarned is forearmed. That's what they say. Next slide. Now, this is about the finish. We finished about the legal provisions. The next area is the department may check. Now, Vaibhav, any questions on this so far? Vaibhav?
Sir.
Any questions so far?
Yes, sir. I'll show you.
Yeah, please.
So please see.
Now you are saying unable to create GST invoices. How to resolve issue of department audit takes place on that. No, you have to, invoices are a must as per law. You have to issue the invoices. Financial institutions which are now having GST in various states, having central to require state by trial banks. I think I have already answered. Whereas here and when I prepare, it is not mandatory, but it's better. Because that's for others. How will I explain what is the income attributed to him? So it's better to have a, I would say, you must have state-wise trial balance. In fact, during service tax audit also, they were insisting to a state-wise, better to have it. Yeah. Can the department still ask to provide hard copies of every books of account instead of providing access to computer? No, that he can't, because if you look at the Information Technology Act also, as well as the books of accounts in this act also, if you are giving a soft copy, giving access, that should be good enough. There is no requirement. I think, if I am not mistaken, Section 4 of the Information Technology Act. Yeah. So what it is not necessary that you have to give a hard copy. If you are interested, there is a Standard Chartered Bank case I have fought in Mumbai, where the department wanted, lot of copy. He gave in a CD, all for looking at the refund. So they insisted you have to give hard copy. Hard copy means there were 10 truckloads of paper. So those days, nowadays the provisions are very clear there. Those days itself they said no. If you give CDs and visible document, so you give CD, access to computer, that should be good enough. But it should be legible. If you give access to computer, you can't make head or tail. There should be some synchronization between your books of accounts, trial balance, plus your thing. But of course, supposing he says, well, look, it is there in the computer, but I'm finding it difficult. These few 4-5 things like trial balance, this, giving printout, you can't stand on it and say, no, I will not give printout. You must give. As per last corporate getting printout, everything runs without no. He asking, I don't think they'll ask all vouchers, which are the invoices and all. They'll only have the basic trial balance and all in printout. The GSTR 9 and this. The others and all, you can see the books, the documents like invoice and all, you can see in the system. Can the officer carry the tally data in pen drive? Can he carry? That's the search seizure. So I don't think he can carry. You can ask him. But please remember, there is a provision that he can ask you to come there and do the audit. At that point of time, when he comes there, then you have to go there. Sometimes if he asks, You can say while the pen you are accessing, I want to be there. You use my pen drive, yeah, and then only do that. In my one of GST audit, there is a difference in two-way credit taken over instance for me to DSI. I told him to issue SCN. He is telling me you have conducted the audit, can't issue, so pay otherwise. No, I think SCN is required. When the books of account are maintaining SAP, all the books like cash book, except may not have each other registered. How to resolve? Well, you have no choice. This is the GST. Branch wise, you have already mandated in your registration. If you look at the form of the registration you have made undertaking, then you will books of accounts will be maintained as a registered premise. So you will have to maintain that. I don't see much. In fact, today the accounting systems like SAP and all, we have to move with the legal requirements. So I don't think you can say I cannot give other. Please tell how he can verify. He cannot verify. Yeah, that's all, Vaibhav.
Yes, sir.
Can we go to the next topic? See, these questions were interesting. It was good to take it now than to take it later. So how do we now continue with the presentation?
Girish sir, PPT show करो.
PPT there on the.
नहीं sir, show my screen पे वापस click करो. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so we have done out of 4 compartments. One of the silos we have finished. Let's look at the second one. Areas which the department may check. Okay. So you have seen some of the persons how they get the pictorial representation, and of course there is a whip in his hand. So you need to be very careful. So be ready. What is going to check? Open out next, Girish. Next slide, yeah. Now, what are the things he'll check? What is the nature of the business? Obviously, nature of business is most important. What are the revenue streams? Then the books of accounts, records, and audited financial statement. Entity level and GSTN level. He'll look at the entity level for the whole company you would like to see. That is at the corporate office, plus at the registration level. Both you would like to see. Annual return, GSTR 9, reconciliation statement, form GSTR 9C, incomes, types of supplies, whether interstate supply, intrastate supply, exports, nil rated, non-GST, no supply, deductions, exemptions. All this, he'll be looking at. You need to also be alert, be prepared. At that time, you can't say, no, it's all a big headache. I have SAP, I have this, I have that. Look at from his angle. He wants to see that you are compliant with the GST law. Unless you give a breakup, how can he do it? Think, put yourself in the auditor's position. Okay. And the rate of tax applicable. That's very important. Okay. What is the rate of tax applicable? He would like to. Next. Next slide, please. What are the expenses? Reverse charge basis. Then for input tax credit, what are the detailed expenses? GSTR 2A, TSR 3B, reversal 36.4, block credit, apportionment of 42, 43. These are all the focus areas I'm just telling where you need to be also careful, and that is very important. Look at tax paid, how much of it is towards cash, how much is credit, what is the refunds claim. These are all the areas. So income side in the previous slide, expenditure side, reverse charge, input credit, what is the tax paid, and what is the refund claim. This gamut, this should cover the entire gamut. In short, to ensure that you have done what you ought to do. Next slide. What are the preparatory measures? To mark my caricatures also, they are all indicative things. Now, Girish, what about the, okay, I'll come to that. So, measures means, why this picture I shown? I would say, don't wait for the audit. At the time of finalization, I remember in those years when I used to do audit, I'm talking of the 90s. When we do an audit, though we were doing statutory the Companies Act or 44A, I used to always call for the VAT returns and see that the turnover in VAT synchronizes with the turnover in financial statement, so that all subject to reconciliation. So at the time when the VAT assessment comes, this turnover shows separate, that turnover separate. We also will be sure that our clients is doing a proper job. He's not disclosing one thing for the bank. No, one stock for the bank, one stock for the income tax, one stock for the company act, and one stock for the VAT people. So we have to ensure. Those days I used to ensure that while finalizing the audit. So when you're finalizing your accounts for the purpose of company's audit or tax audit, at that time ensure that it synchronizes with the GST. Don't do this reconciliation and 9C as a post-mortem exercise. Then there is a big problem. That is where a preventive measure would go a long way. As they say, prevention is better than cure. So at that point, at the time of finalization, that is the crucial point. And not after all this over, 9C becomes a post-mortem exercise. Then you will find many times there is something wrong in the accounts. So then it becomes a very complicated and messy affair. Next slide, please. So you must always, prepare a note on the nature of business revenue streams. It always helps. He needs it. Okay, and things will be faster for you, and it is in your interest. Because if rather he deciphers what is your revenue stream, if you tell him first, his mind is conditioned, especially if the rates are different. Otherwise, he'll start thinking you are actually what your revenue is actually X, and really speaking Y. Then what chances you are trying to convince him that it is Y, attracting 12%. Because he has got a preconceived mind, he will think it is 18%. This is human nature. Once you have seen something, then you refuse to change. It's not unique to any person. So why don't you be proactive? Prepare a short note on the business and then prepare a note on the revenue streams. And in each revenue stream, say this is the HSN code, this is the tax. So the person is already conditioned, and he also appreciates this person has already done his homework. If you start waiting for him to ask, then he will already have an idea, okay, you are doing this. I'm telling you, so many years, many times the client doesn't himself know. If you ask the CFO, there's people who have got 30, 40 revenue streams, they themselves don't know exactly what they are doing. And what exactly, because there's a disconnect between the operations and the accounts and the taxation. These are three people, there's a disconnect. Lot of terminologies, jargons. Many of our clients, they receive show cause notice because the jargon in the bill. The jargon doesn't show what is the nature. Okay, so it's very, very important. Avoid jargons. If there's a jargon used, please write that. Because the operations are used to a particular jargon. And really speaking, that may not be in sync with our tax rates classification. So it's very important that you roll out a proper thing for operations. And you prepare a new stream. Because I'm seeing so many show cause notice could have been avoided if jargons were not used. Often I'm not able to remember. Girish, if you are able to remember any of those jargons, you can now. Otherwise, I'm not able to remember. But I remember a lot of show cause notice could have been avoided if there was a sync between the operations, accounts, and income tax. In fact, when GST was implemented, we had told our clients that you must not only educate the tax people, the accounts person, as well as the operation. So the operations and the IT, all of them know where is it that you need to be precise in your articulation of what you are doing. Things that people just don't know what they are doing. I know many cases that people didn't know. When you go deeper and deeper to analyze whether it attracts GST, what is the where it attracts, you call the operations, you sit with him, then that's the time we really know what is the activities they are doing, what is the exact nature of the activity. So I would say it's better you prepare the revenue stream. You have already done that. When you decided to levy the tax, be very clear this is it, you're coming. So that part of it is his mind is conditioned. Prepare an organization structure, also person responsible interface auditors and give their audit. So do not, involve too many people in the audit. Prepare the structure and say these are the people who are responsible. Prepare a process flow note on how the trial balance finance statement and the GSS are arrived at. So the entity level audited financial statement. Okay. So how do we, where is the flow? So he is convinced, this is not, the entity is this balance sheet, yours is this. There is a total disconnect. So it's better you with authenticity show that this is how it is done. Even if he doesn't ask for your help, it is always better you have it. Then the next issue in case of multi-locational entities. No, there are a lot of issues here in case of multi-location. No, multi-location, both core India, there are a lot of locations, and also cross-border also there are locations. So one of the important things is the cost allocation apportionment criteria. So supposing one entity bears like HOs bear, and they want to allocate the cost to various entities. This one thing comes, and each branch, there is treated as separate entity. There is a ring fencing. Each registration ring fence. So though they are not separate entities, but for registration purpose they are there. So interbranch transfers of goods and services are taxed. So what is the cost allocation? A, between countries, suppose you got a foreign country charging you cost allocation to you, maybe reverse charge will be applicable, or you charge to them. All these things are very important. There should be proper documentation. There could be also valuation issues. Okay, so cost allocation apportionment criteria is very important. And don't say this is only for MIS. If MIS then should be not part of books or account. A lot of people I know, they prepare for MIS and reverse the entries. That can be disastrous, I would say, for the purpose of GST. Okay, it has to be, there should be nothing like only for MIS. Okay. In that case, you need to charge. So, in cost allocation apportionment may be taxable. You need to look at the ISD rules or the cost plus 10% route. Interbranch transfers, whether how to charge, direct cost, plus overheads, employee cost will be added, not added. If added, what is the criteria? If not added, what is the reasoning? All these things should be very clear. Interbranch transfers are going to be in a lot of scrutiny about the how much you are charged on the valuation issue. The HO branch, same thing. If HO is billing the client directly, then the branches always charge HO. The flow will be like that. But if branches are billing the client, then the flow of the service will be HO to branch. So all this you need to be very clear. Perhaps have a proper documentation, some sort of a standard operating procedure that anybody across India can read and understand how this is happening. I remember way back in 1978 when I was doing the audit of ACC, they had a very good manual which gave all standard operating procedure, including what accounting entries should be passed, because there are 22 factories all over India. So maybe you should have some sort of a standard operating procedure, which should be a very simple thing, so you know exactly. It is percolate to everybody. This is how our corporate policy is from a GST Act. Of course, it should synchronize with income tax and, of course, the accounting policy. But there should be a proper policy laid down. Overseas branches income and expenses, how it is going to be, will it going to be reflected? Then I said issue of shared services, I already said handling multi-entity accounts and records. It's very, very important. How do you handle these multi-entity accounts and records? I told you what are the challenges of a shared service. Many times the department may find the shared service as if we want to avoid tax. I think there's a deliberate attempt to camouflage the whole group as such in terms of transparency. Actually, we'll have to explain. It is more to actually reduce cost, also tailor scientific management, that shared service will have specialized operation. That is the purpose of the shared service. So shared service are one important thing one has to explain. And the guy sitting in Calcutta or in Chennai, he will think these guys don't know anything, everything you have to ask them. And that too, not even the head office. Head office is shared services. So these are things you need to properly document, sensitize with the staff at each region to know how he has to conduct himself in case the audit comes. If required, the shared service persons may fly down there and be there. If it's a big issue, maybe there for some time. But all these issues should not be, you should not be looking at when the audit starts. You should have what should I say, some sort of mechanism, documented, be ready for it, so that you can always, like if you're aware, many of the take the shipping, when a ship sails, there is a standard operating procedure for the ship in case of contingencies. Same way in the aircraft also, there are standard operating procedures. So same way for us also, for audit meeting the GST, there should be some sort of procedure. First is your record keeping, how you are handling each input credit, all this is documented, things will be easy. And nowadays there is a lot of staff attrition, people keep changing, so it will be worthwhile to have some sort of standard operating procedure. Yeah, next slide. Check whether books of accounts and records at the place of business. Failure to keep the books of accounts record that place would be presumed that you are not in possession of books of accounts. So physically, yes, if it's not there, at least in the system. And in the system, the documents like input credit, if we show him the scanned copy is okay. If he's not satisfied, on a test check basis, we have seen cases where we have sent it to the office. Now, if the auditor wants to do audit at his office, I think you should concede rather than make a big issue out of it. It might sometimes better for you to take, because it gives you a lot of leveraging in terms of time. Okay, and then take it to his office and do that. And the rule also provides for that. Although annual return and reconciliation may have already been filed when the auditor arrives, check them once again before submission. I think this is very important. Why this? Any matter before you submit to anybody, please check. Do not be sure, do not be overconfident. I know many cases, probably the show-cause notice could have been ordered. If somebody had taken some interest in giving, thereafter, once you are given, issue show-cause notice, then much as we try that there is a mistake here and explain, give reconciliation, all that, the person is already made up his mind. So it's very important that before you give, you must always check. If there are discrepancies, it may still be explainable to the auditors, or necessary remedial steps can be taken before audit. So I think this is one of the important preparatory aspects, that you need to be very, very careful, be well prepared. As I said, forewarned is forearmed. Yeah. So, Girish, can you, 1 second. Yeah, can you go to the next slide?
Can you go to?
Next slide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now look at when you are preparing, also look at the turnover. Taxable, what is the amount of exempt, no supply. Be ready with it. Interstate supply, intrastate supply. Exports, domestic. Under LUT, on pure GST. Domestic, SEZ, non-SEZ, unregistered. I know you have it in written form, but you should also have it if possible on a yearly form which you want to see, which returns subject to reconciliation with the accounts. Intrastate supply, registered, unregistered. This is how you should, think of the turnover, taxable, exempt, non-GST supply, interstate and intrastate. Interstate will have exports and domestic under LUT on payment of GST. Domestic SEZ, non-SEZ, unregistered. And then state, registered, unregistered. So these are the things which you can just quick have a look. So that is B2B and B2C is what we are. Next slide. Income in the financial statement, divide the income into the above categories illustrative. List of Schedule 1 supplies, if any, in quantities prepared with justification valuation method. If you have seen the Schedule 1, the GST law provided for Schedule 1, it's taxable even without consideration. Yeah. You have to list out the Schedule 1 supply. Yeah. And identify the valuation, they justify the valuation. Identify and quantify nil rate and exempt supplies. Document reasons for exemption, whether exemptions are conditional, document how the conditions are fulfilled and proofs ready. Reimbursements, keep separate account and explanation why not taxable. Comply with all the conditions to Rule 33 as pure reason with documentary. So this is another important thing. You need to have a proper thing. Because over the years I'm seeing more and more people not going for this. They just want to simply tax. Other fellows claiming credit, especially B2B. Let's not waste time. So over the years it's having less impact. But still, there are certain things which are clearly excludable. Consider to exclude. Especially if the other fellow is not subject to GST. So this is the other thing. Next slide. Girish, do you think I'm very fast, Girish?
Yeah, no.
Then the next important thing, some important items in form GST 9C unbilled revenue. This is very important, very, very important. Many clients you have unbilled. What is the unbilled revenue? It's because the accounting is done on an accrual basis. Substantial effort has been made that has been recognized in that year. However, the fact that you have finished that much work for a particular client does not give you the right to bill. And if you don't have the right to bill, you can't issue, in which case there is no GST liability. If you have unbilled revenue in your business, you must find out the details of unbilled revenue at the beginning of the year. Amount to be reduced during the year, amount added during the year, unbilled revenue at the end of the year. All these things need to be looked into, so you have proper reconciliation. What is the GST amount of last year's unbilled revenue? You have to see if it is still continuous. Then falling into the unbilled revenue, you may have to look at it and with the financial statements for reconciliation will reduce. So this unbilled revenue is something is always going to be a bit, shall I say, attract this radar. Is why it is there in the accounts, why you are not paid GST. You have to say that the concept of accounting is an accrual basis. A substantial efforts have been made. I may not have the right to recover money or bill the client. If you say GST does not arise, what accounting I am showing is make a proper reconciliation. The converse is the detail unadjusted advances at the beginning because in case you have to pay tax. But however, you must not bill in the accounts. So you need to prepare a proper reconciliation. So these are two important things: unbilled revenue and unadjusted advances. And not only that, if these things carry forward for next year also it remains like that, you need to properly explain in the large or like the lockdown period, it is still milestone for billing has not been arrived at. And you can't bill, it gets carried forward. But if you start doing when the audit starts, I can tell you it will be hell because there will be two people. One is your own people where you have to explain to them, the department. If you can do it in advance, keep it ready. Be ready, then we'll be ever ready. Next slide. Income in the financial statement. Details of trade discount audited, but not reduced for the turnover, the GST. You may consider that not consider GST. You have to show them. Details of credit notes, commercial credit notes, account to audited system, but not reduced on the GST. Residuary item, they reconsider turnover adjustment and due to other reasons. Keep detail, should not be merely a balancing figure. We have seen many times a balancing figure. And I know a lot of people, the other adjustment will be quite high. Like you have got a lot of companies where they account net revenues and not gross revenues. Because they only account, especially consulting firms, they do only what is the value add. Yeah. There could be ad companies who are actually charging along with their commission plus the media cost on the entire 100 rupees. But their valuation is only 15 rupees. Historically, they show only 15 as revenue. Then there will be a disconnect between the accounts and GST return. The GST return they would have paid 100, the account is 15. So you need to do. There are many reasons you'll have to ensure there's not a balancing figure. Details of supply of the taxes to be paid by the receiver reverse tax. This also need to be very particular and ensure that these things are properly captured. Yeah. Next slide. Now here, Girish, I would like to go back and do a recap because I think maybe I went a bit fast. People would have forgotten. You start with the preparatory measures because the next part of preparatory is something to do with input credit. Yeah, next. So just do a quick recap. Let's have a bit too fast. Prepare a note on nature of business revenue streams, organization, flow, issues in multi-locational, cost allocation apportionment, inter-branch transfers, HO branch transactions, overseas branch income and expenses, issues of shared services. I think I have dealt with all this in great detail. If you have any questions, you can put in the question box, and the moment I finish this tranche, I will take up the questions. Next slide, please. Books of accounts are I think this also, I think reasonably dealt with. Next slide. Yeah, this is a pictorial thing. I think I'm sure it's been shared with all of you. So this is just to look at the turnover, how you should give the figures item wise, so the person is able to relate it with his return. Next slide. Then I think this also I have dealt with in detail. Next slide. Yeah, unbilled revenue, just advance, unadjusted advance are most important. I told you, you have to explain why there is unbilled revenue and you're not paying tax. Again, unadjusted advances because of reconciliation. All that will have to be properly taken care of. And one thing, anyway, your experience last so many years, 90 is there. In fact, subsequent years, I am told audit is not required. But I suggest whether audit required or not, better you see that the as if Nancy requires to be audited in that fashion, you must be. If necessary, get it vetted by external agency. Yeah. Next slide. Trade discount, credit notes, reconciliation is very important. Balancing income. Identify each of the reconciliation. Next slide. Yeah. This is where we listen. Now, expenses in the financial statements is very important. Keep details of keep details of all reverse charge payments declared in the annual report. You are aware there are many types of expenses like overseas payments, payment to lawyers, where you have to pay tax as a recipient. So keep a detail of that. Prepare a reconciliation in all the cases where RCM applicable financial statements. So tally with the financial statement. Yeah. This is part of the RCM. Input tax credit is the next thing, most important. Let me tell you, one of the biggest challenges is preparing for input tax. Biggest issue which is faced in any audit. So you need to be very, very careful. Input tax credit does not become debit, and you don't run into problems, because the officers are also coming with a view that some credit is turned into debit, and he deprives you or wants to deprive you of the credit. The laws are also pretty tough to comply with, and sometimes genuine mistakes can happen. At that time, better to concede and move on. And where you feel you have a good case, you stick to your guns. Keep details of ITC available in GSA 3B, giving complete details of vendor, GST and details, invoice number, date, value, tax, CTT, STD, all that. You must keep details of that. Next slide. Many times your software will be good enough. Here's the amount reverse in GST 3B under Rule 36(4), amount except 10%. Here, please remember, whatever they want, they say portal is immortal. This can be challenged. I would say it's a very good case for challenge. It's not that I should be deprived just because not reflected in 2A, where the other fellow doesn't file in the return, he doesn't pay. All this doesn't look to be reasonable at all. It can be challenged. But then one business cannot work on constitutional challenge or legal challenge. By and large, better is comply with it. Yeah. So see that the vendors upload it, do a proper KYS, know your supplier, to ensure that he is a proper person who records it correctly and makes the payment. Then, for non-payment consideration within 80 days, apportionment under Rule 42, 43, it is advisable to give process on how the apportionment is. Now, if you look at 42 and 43, 43 especially is very complicated for capital gains. Capital goods. A lot of people are not claiming, or they are claiming based on ballpark figure. It's pretty tough. So you need to have a proper process note on what basis your this thing, because when you sell off a capital asset, first thing, it's all a big headache. So you need to have some proper mechanism, a process note how Rule 42 and 43 operates. Details of ITC reclaim. That's also very important. What is the ITC? Which is reclaim again. Once you claim, you're not compliant with the condition, give it back. Then you again claim back after complying with the condition. All this requires a proper thing. I feel whatever the software is, there will always be some statements you have outside the software. Offline, you'll have to prepare in Excel sheet. I doubt software can even comprehend all the things which is there in the GST law and the circumstances which you will be able to. So there is a limit up to which you can do an autopilot. Next slide. Keep details of amount I utilized for tax payment, balance of leave the current assets balance in the finance statement. That's very important. In the service tax days also is to find that the service tax is not tally with the current assets. Now, when I used to do the audit way back in 70s, late 70s, one important thing is the excise PLA balance, because the credit balance has to be reflected in the balance sheet. That's a very important thing. So thereafter, tax audit also came. If you see that clause, I forgot the clause under which clause, but you have to show that. So please ensure that it is tallied with the current assets. If the refund, no, you may claim some refund because you're exporter, and you may debit to the sender credit electronic ledger. But please remember, it must appear as separately the current asset. It should not be written. This is what the circular also says. Circular number 25 dated 18, customer 43. See, even those days, whenever he used to claim credit, refund from the service tax or excise, in order to prove that it is not passed on to the customer, to avoid the concept of unjust enrichment, it was always shown as a current asset. So you must ensure that this is shown as. It may not reflect in the certified electronic ledger, but it should show. These are things you may think is very simple. We can just leave it to somebody. But let me tell you, these are the major mistakes which happen at a later point of time. When you go to you show the balance sheet, you'll find it's already written off. It's not shown as a current asset at all. Of course, thereafter, then you have to find accounting entry, decide taxation law. All that is the very big thing. Why go into all that? See at the time when you are doing the finalization audit, preparatory measures itself, these things are taken care. Yeah. Next slide, please. 28. Most of the details in forms here flows from GSTR 1, detailed output supplies, 3B, detailed outward and inward supply, ITC, tax paid, etc. And 2A, auto popular ITC based on supply GSTR 1. Taking the details here and these forms and in GSTR 9 and these forms and statements match. If there are differences, keep a reconsider the differences. So what I am telling you is, perhaps you may say, what does this person say? It's all common sense. Now, in this world, you are aware, common sense is most uncommon. So, these things, even if they are common, it's uncommon not only at the higher level, but it may not get percolated. And one day you'll find that nothing is there. In fact, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is there. And what is the most basic thing? So, I think it's very important that don't assume that these things are done. Better to see and ensure that these are done. Yeah, next. Next slide, please. Now, this is ground handling, exactly what you have to do. I think before this, the preparatory measures, that entire silos or that part of it was quite big. There are several dicey issues, a lot of things. Are there any questions on that? Yeah, Vaibhav? Please, can you call him and check up whether there any?
Sir, what happened, sir?
Any questions on this?
Ah,
So far, any questions? Now, what is if the party do not issue any physical credit note issued in the, no, he has to issue a credit. That is must. Okay. It can be in digital form also, but he has to issue. The department need not be concluded, but it has not been concluded since last 1 year. No, there nothing here what to do. Now, we are all facing this problem. This is in service tax. I don't know if in GST such a thing will happen. I doubt it will happen. But if it happens, then you have to check up why it is not concluded. And the mistake is his, then maybe you can take recourse to those sections where he ought to have been completed. Yeah. Yeah. In any case, you need not go and remind him. Yeah, that it is done. That is where in that ground level handling, I will tell you certain things. Like when he comes for the audit, no, be sure have some written mechanism that he has done the audit. Okay. And I feel in GST scenario, they will give. If this does happen, GST scenario, put one more question and I'll answer that. In service tax scenario, this is to happen. But what needs to tell the client is, whenever that fellow is coming for an audit, you have some sort of register, some mechanism to prove that he has come. Then that will be enough ground. At a later point, issue a show cause notice for limitation. And he ought to have issued a show cause notice then. So now issuing is on the ground of limitation, we can find. Whether self-advice is really mandatory to prepare and show, which is technically difficult to prepare during government audit. But each month I can various invoices of vendors for reverse charges. I will say the self-advice is a must. Girish, you agree? Yeah, Girish?
I'm muted. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it is a reverse
For
charge.
claiming credit, it is relevant.
Yeah, the section also says that, so it is very clear. Whether a department audit issue a SCM and wrong SCM is being mentioned by to a client, but tax and correct that there is no revenue loss to department. Then he can issue show cause notice, you have to contest. That is why I told you, that initial revenue streams, if you can clearly put note, that will help a lot. In the registration also, if there is a provision, properly disclose. Let him issue, then we can always say that is not. Substance is more important than the form. I must appreciate a lot of good questions, a lot of learning for me too. GST 990 upload wrong for saying due to which there was tax liability incurred. Client has paid the tax. What are the consequences? I think even if you have paid more tax, claim a refund. That's all I can think of. Any legal advice can protect a corporate having multiple in many states where physical book is not there. Actually, but the same has been maintained by such corporate HO. No, I think today's world, I can't think of anybody maintaining physical records only anywhere. Today, I think everything is computerized. That's what I feel. If at the branch, neither physical nor computer access to accounts is available, I feel you have no way out. You are supposed to maintain the books account at the registered premises. So you have no one. This person says, hi sir, oh, very good. Is it mandatory to cross-charge cost allocation? Which section and rule governs the same? Now, cross-charge, what you want to say is that between the branch and the HO and between two branches, if services are there because of the ring fencing, yes, there could be. The only issue is employee cost may not be taken. That is the point of issue. But no cross charge, there could be an issue. Because obviously HO is providing some services to the thing. Actually, this cross charge is a separate topic itself. It's at least a 90 minutes topic. But just to tell you, since you have taken the topic, and it's one of my favorite and one very interesting thing, the cross charge mechanism also ensures the flow of input credit. That's why I told you in the case of cross charge, if HO is billing the customer, then the branches will have to cross charge the HO. So all the cost comes to the HO, credit risk claim. But if branches are invoicing the customer, then HO will cross the. But to say that you will not cross charge at all, it may not be right, because if the HO claims credit for something which doesn't get any income, the intention in the whole GST scenario is that both of them are independent entities, and if anybody provides the services, they'll have to cross charge. As because valuation, you have been given a lot of leverage, cost plus 10%, and if the other fellow is getting credit, they will not question your valuation. Employee, one may argue both ways. But to say no cross charge may be a very difficult proposition. And if their intention is to, then there should be a cross charge. Now, if you still want to say no cross charge, then you will challenge the provisions of ring fencing. You can't ring fence. You are treating these as two separate entities. You cannot treat them as two separate. That is the most way you have to really do that. Because if you see, supply of goods or services on Schedule 1, both between related persons or between distinct persons as specified in Section 7 made in the proposal. So they consider this as a, what should I say, deemed service. But I think you can, if you want to challenge the section that they are not, it is not correct, you can't charge to oneself, then you can go. Sir, if as per contract with customer, no billable milestone is reached. No billable milestone, that is, there is no right. Then we do not accrue any income in account. And still, because income or no, not necessary at all. Because the milestone to bill is not aligned. You don't have the, what is an invoice? An invoice is demanding payment from the customer. You can demand payment under the contract if you have right to demand. So there is no need to show it. If yes, how to arrive? So that is a redundant question. If in case of builder, he receives advances, and GSR he doesn't show it in advances, and GSR they don't show it and show it 2Bs here, 2Bs, what are the contract? I think you have to show because advances you have to pay tax. If company has to replace the machine during warranty being free of cost, the company has to issue tax invoice or just delivery charge would be okay. And what would be the effect of same in GSTR 9C? As to replace a machine during a warranty period in free, no, I think then you have to issue a credit note and issue an invoice. That is the best thing. The best thing is that issue a credit note and issue an invoice. Is it mandatory to pay GST? No, this is you are on substance. I think here we are on, what shall I say, out of syllabus. Okay, according to me, this is you have to look at the provisions, exemption notification, etc., etc. There's something called inward freight, outward freight, all that. So let's not look at question number 11. You need a separate topic by itself. Input included non-claim be claimed as input non-claimed in GST. Well, you can argue that it left it by mistake, and then say that it is a mistake here, and I would like to claim. It will go for a big toss. Right now, we are arguing on a matter of service tax, but it was not shown in the return, and we are still claiming the. It was not transition also. It was not shown HC3 also, and we are fighting that case. Let's wait and see how the matter unfolds. Sir, if partner or director pays the expense bills on behalf of the company from his personal credit card, and then company reimburses same amount to partner, whether it attracts. No, if there is a contractual arrangement that he is supposed to do, and the invoice is in the name of the company, I don't see this as a problem. And ITC claim as a goods point on which subsidy has been received. This is again a substantive topic, not for my discussion, because otherwise I will not complete my paper. And I think better we leave it to the ITC. I'm sure there must be a topic on ITC. Questions are over, Vaibhav?
Yes, sir.
Questions are over?
Yes, sir.
Very good, thank you. So now let us go to the last part of it. Now this is called a ground handling. Ultimately, how do you handle? Next slide. Next slide, please. Keep to always with good cheer, avoid confrontation on any point. You can always agree to disagree. So my thinking is not that I'm scared of it, but why, for that matter, why audit in any walk of life? If nothing is going to be achieved, if you're not cheerful. So better to be cheerful and then say, okay, whatever you want to say, you say, whatever I want to say, I'll say. If we don't agree, you anyway have the power to issue show cause notice. In fact, when I've been speaking to the department also, I've been saying the same. Why do you want to be, spoil relation, be aggressive, etc. You have the power of show cause notice. So you can always maintain cordial relation. Give all the process, especially I think Corona has treated, made us know ultimately any two human beings faced in any adverse situation. Ultimately, they are human beings, and better to be human rather than being human. Give all the process notes that reconcile and explain how the figure, the annual return, and the reconciliation statement for the financial year audit I mean, arrived right from the auditor financial. This will give comfort to the auditor. He would like to know that this is not a cooked up statement. No, and clearly you ensure that there is a sync between all the statements and the accounts. Next. So most important, when the auditor comes, like one of the questions was asked, that fellow comes, goes, then again comes, goes, no audit report, nothing. No, this is a big problem. So you must have some mechanism, evidence to claim, have some logbook in your entry, in the entry desk, where every person who comes has to audit, has to sign, or entry pass is given. So there is a record of visit by the audit party. Logbooks, either dedicated logbook for the audit team, and it need not be only audited by any government officer has to sign, or for that matter, keep an invert for anybody. So if he is not singled out, keep that. Some people have slips which is fed on a computer to know who are the visitors. Or in the other, you have a logbook, so you know he has visited. Others, sometimes they come, go, you don't know. And thereafter they deny they ever come. Insist to give the audit objection information required in writing. That's very important. They go on fishing inquiry. They say orally, I say, you tell me now why it is not live. So you say because of this reason. Then he changes his stand and he says go on another reason. Then a third reason. It's an endless exercise. I think you have to very politely say, sir, our company is such that we have protocols. I can't answer without you giving me something in writing. I also need to consult a consultant. And then there is a team. So please, whatever you got to say, they give you objections in writing. This is the reason. What is the advantage? Once he has given writing, his reasoning is fixed. He can't go beyond that. He can't then go on fishing inquiry, go on changing. And then you neutralize him to that question only. And thereafter reply to that. That is the most important. And don't start the process. He gives oral, you give writing. He gives oral, you give writing. This I am seeing in so many places. And it never ends. He has to give it in writing very nicely. And one more thing, once he gives in writing, you're also sure at that day he has done the audit. So that is another proof and answers one of the questions raised by one of the queries. How do I know the audit? And why do you want him to know that the audit is being conducted? Because he conducts the audit. After 1 or 2 years, 3 years, again a show cause notice issue. You can claim limitation. There are judgments which says that there cannot be wide gap between the audit done and the show cause notice which is issued. Subsequent summer auditor comes and for that same year, actually he does for this year, but he finds that there is a issue in this audit in this period. Like he has finished 1890. Then he comes 21-22. 21-20, he finds something wrong. And he wants issue show cause notice. Then he wants backwards, same issues there or not. And he goes to 1920 and he issues audit the show cause notice for that period also. And 1890 also. But if you have some proof to say that he has done the audit, during the course of the audit, he has not raised the issue. So I am fair enough to understand that such an item was not taxable at all, or such a credit was allowed. So that audit report, that proof of audit becomes conclusive evidence for you to claim limitation. So it's very, very important that you must have something in mind. Okay? Information, details, reply, what you furnish also give a covering letter. I know umpteen number of cases, information is given without covering, without acknowledgement. Please give it with a covering letter only, so that you know all the jugalbandi is gone. At the time of tribunal, you got a big case. Yes, it is like sometimes they say he has not cooperated, there is suppression, all that. You can say we have cooperated. So he insists to give the audit report in writing. Now it's very important. Audit objection, audit report to be in writing and not verbal. Section 65(6) rule 1014(5) says that he has to inform. No, what is inform? Can he inform verbally? I think no, the intention appears to be in writing. Because of final audit report, law itself provides you have to give in form 82. For an audit objection, CBI GST audit manual also says in para 5.14 page 46 say auditor must be in writing. You can refer to this audit. It is available in the website. So it has to be in writing. Now, of course, I know when he comes, you have to establish cordial relation. And you tell him in writing, he may not like it. But that's where the diplomacy comes. So remember my first slide. Handling the audit is as difficult as handling your wife. So whatever delicate manner you handle your wife, you have to handle the auditor like that. You have to say something which doesn't look like that you're saying that. But at the same time, it seems that you already said that. I hope you understood that. So this is how you have to be very careful. I'm not saying that I'm afraid to fight with him. It's not that. But why? But convince him, say that because of various reasons, because of corporate policy, you have to give me in writing. But matter closes, he gives in writing. And I know a lot of people once said they also give in writing. They don't make a big issue out of that. So I think you should, this word inform has to be interpreted as writing. Though the rules may say he has to inform the SSE, I think you must ensure because of all this that the audit report as well as audit objection, because many times they go on giving orally. They keep on telling you give this, you give that, you give this, you give that. I can give all information, but ultimately when it comes to the issue that you don't agree with me, then give me reasons. That you better give me an idea. Why you feel you don't agree with me? Let me not start saying, giving reasons, justification, why you should agree. You please tell me why you don't agree with me. The onus is on the department to say why they don't agree with the SSE's actions. So it has to emanate from there. There you have to ensure that. That is where this word handle becomes very important. Because remember, the handle is always with him. But you must know how to handle the handle also. Next slide, please. Verify the facts before submitting the audit party. This is a basic part. A lot of people just give. You better verify 10 times. In case the auditor wants to issue an exchange on any point, try and restrict it to only the law point. And clear all different facts and figures. I'm seeing a lot of show cause notice where they don't agree on the facts, figures. Simply fighting the focus is lost. On law, you say we agree to disagree because he is not going to agree. But on facts, if the show cause is on 3 crores, issue on 3 crores, not on 10 crores, because you are not given facts properly, or he has not understood, or the figures are not reconciling, double deductions, all these things we have seen. Double addition, because your 7.5% pre-deposit appeal stage is going to be on that. So many things, I think substantial show cause notice can be watered down more, almost 50%, if the facts are properly agreed to and enough trouble is taken. And person is said by you, what show cause notice? You don't agree with me, but please see that these facts are on this and not on that. This there should be complete agreement on this side. So this is part one of the important part of ground handling. Next slide, please. This is the last. Fine. We come to the next slide. See, my first slide and last slide is the same. The last slide says on the right hand side is a confused man. Left side is a lighthouse. Those days for ships, there's a lighthouse to guide the ship. I hope I've thrown light, not this light. And otherwise, right hand side, the confused man, was it confusing? Well, if it is confusing, I'm not only to be blamed. The law is also quite confusing and quite tough. So before I look at those questions, if there are any, there are one or two three issues I want to take up. One major issue is whether there are two people here, CGST and SDST, state authority and the central authority. Whether for the same period, both authorities can conduct the audit. I think for that you look at the 9th GST minutes. You also look at the GK Trading Company, Allahabad High Court, where the issue was Allahabad High Court on the issue where a survey or investigation can take place by both authorities. Then the court said a survey and inquiry can be done by both the state and the center. But once it becomes a proceeding, like show cause notice proceeding, that can be done only by one. Audit is a proceeding. So audit can be done only by one person. You have to decide whether the CGST people want to do or SGST want. If one person has done it, the other one cannot do. You have to tell him no. You can also look at the CGST 9 GST. This is a very important thing. The judgment is GK Trading Company was Union of India, Allahabad High Court, a recent judgment. Then with the CGST can themselves cannot audit for the same period more than once. Well, correctly, from a justice point of view, no, but they may do. Then you have to challenge that, or allow them to do and then say, no, we don't agree. Then whether Department agency like Comptroller Auditor General, like SERA audit, they also can do CGST under CGST law. There, Kiran jumps 2021 POL 237. You can look at High Court Mumbai. Very clearly says no, SERA audit cannot be done. But it can be done only for government companies and government undertaking, and not for private undertaking. And CGST, GST law also does not allow for SERA audit. I think that's all from my side. If there are any questions? Yes. Vaibhav?
Yes, sir. 1 second.
Yeah. Hey, it's very interesting. Head office to branch, will you follow the ISD mechanism or will you follow the shared service cross charge mechanism? I am in favor of cross charge because ISD means I have to identify that is pertaining to that each person. Sometimes some of the common sources may not pertain to a particular branch. So I would say a cross charge mechanism is much easier. Not much of explanation is required. I would go for a cross charge as against the ISD mechanism, unless there are compelling reasons. Next is, sir, adjudicating authority has issued demand order without the operator issuing SCN and reply to SCN. Without issuing SCN and reply to SCN, it can be either one, no, it can be both. It is great that litigation is not required. I agree. If it has not issued a SCN, that is wrong. Nobody can issue an order. You can fight it out. Okay. Unless we are saying in some certain cases refund. Refund cases there are laws that without issuing SCN, you can still pass an order. You have to go and appeal. Then if you have not replied to SCN, you have to explain why you have not replied to SCN. But you have to file an appeal. Sir, income tax, there is a provision wherein case can be referred to higher authority during assessment. Do we have such an option with us in case? No, nothing. What is the dealer not comfortable audit team when he used to transfer a case to any other audit team? Do you think they are concerned with your comfort? I don't know. I don't think this is possible unless there are some more serious reasons which I don't want to say here. Unless those serious reasons are there, where you can complain for misconduct or something. Just because you are not comfortable, I don't think that is a reason for you to say that you have to transfer the thing. Which reference book should be referred to study GST appeals and the Department Audit? I have already said that Department Audit manual is good enough. I think GST appeals, I also don't know whether, I think you have to learn through the Act. BEAR Act is the best thing. Yes, any other questions? Vaibhav?
No, sir. No.
We have finished 15 minutes earlier. But if there are any questions, I can take. Otherwise, we can close and spare the audience for the audience so that they are 15 minutes early. They can enjoy the Saturday. Any questions?
So one
Why-
more.
why- please. If somebody is more comfortable to ask oral questions, you can ask them, allow them oral also, no? If it's possible. Sometimes, see, a person like me, I can't do all this. I prefer to ask an oral question. So, why not, if it is permitted, if it is allowed, you can ask them to give oral questions.
So oral not
I'm okay.
permitted. Oral not permitted.
Oral is not permitted. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you are telling that their mouth is shut. Okay. Time limit, what is linked with the due date? If government extended a limit to filing the return time, no. Time limit audit is linked with the due date of filing the return. If government extended time limit for filing the return, audit limit also increased. Where is the audit limit? You know, in the what section they can. Is there any from the
No,
return?
no.
No, nothing. There's nothing from the return. It only say that once he starts, he'll get a 3 months window. It doesn't appear to have. There is no such thing as connected with the return. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah, Vaibhav, anything else?
One second.
We'll wait for 2-3 minutes because people like me, I would find it very difficult to type. No, you have to tell them that I cannot deposit on order basis unless you are convinced that really there is a case and you want to be deposited. If you feel that there is really a short this thing, you have to pay. Otherwise, not necessary. Should not. Sir, can I get refund if it includes? Can I get refund ITC if ITC includes transferred credit? No, the refund ITC is only subject to those limitations for export or there's a difference in rate. Then only all these things come. Or you not transition, then it. In the case you already transition. Or you have to prove that I have never been able to do that. Sir, where the word right has written law which you are mentioning in what is the word right? Oh, very important. Interesting. So, Girish, you understood what he's saying?
Yes, sir. Rights and obligations is what he.
So, where does it say?
That they will inform the SSC the rights and obligations.
Section where? Section.
The audit is audit findings are over. Audit findings are over. That is rule.
It is in the rules.
Yeah.
Where is it written? See, section 65(6). Serial number 4 query is section 65(6) says, when confused audit the proper officer in 30 inform the registered person whose records are audited about the findings, his rights and obligations, and the reasons for such findings. A very good question because he, like me, is cynical. There's nothing called right. There's only called obligation and liabilities. That is right in the return law. He wanted to question. So 65(6), sir. Well, EA audit as invalid as of today. No, I don't think there's anything called EA audit today. Sir, we have multi-state regime. If we have not taken ISG, what are the implications? No, you don't take ISG, you do cross-judge. That's good enough. Sir, inverted tax refund allowed of commercial property contract. Not very clear because real estate is there is no its own mechanism. The ITC RCM credit claims differ in their exposure with payment of tax. Yes. Word right means right to appeal? No, even any other right. Right to appeal is right to agree or is right to ask anything further about the audit. But generally they are not going to give anything. They'll only say this is what you have to pay. according to this has happened, this has happened, this is the thing. The right appeal will not come at the post audit. It will come post issue of show cause.
Or they may
Audit for zero. Yes, Girish, please.
or they may tell you ki under that section 73, if you pay before the show cause notice is issued, then we may this proceedings may be deemed to be closed, etc.
So that's what Girish is saying. That right, perhaps he may say that before issue show cause pay, then I will not issue show cause. So that's the right he wants to say. Number 10, whether audit can hear audit was only covering extended period because there does not exist post. No, whether it can conduct EA to the audit for service tax only, covering extended period because service tax does not exist post 1st July 21. What July? 2000? No, it's not 21. Is he saying to 21? 70? Sorry, correct. Yeah, they can do the audit. They're already doing it, but you can challenge if you want. Yeah. But to my mind, we have to challenge the saving clause, repeat clause, all those issues. Sir, we do business one in crusher and concrete. Can I take ITC or crusher mixing concrete mix out by IT? Leave this because it's substantive. If taxation differs, then example later on for it is taxation and file and pay the tax. What are the implications? I think that should be okay. The department may raise issues to fight it out, but I think that should be okay. Next. Audit under for same period, same issue, how to handle. I have already told you they can't do that. Both the I have quoted you the judgment also. Yeah. And then the GK Trading was a Union of India, though it's not an audit, but you can use it. And then tell the SDA whoever comes second, but this is not there. This is not envisaged by the GST Council also. Take it up strongly. You'll have to go to High Court under Article 226. Now the date of appeal is extended to where extension will further change accordingly. No, that we won't know your speculation. Thank you. I am obliged really for serial number 15. Thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm also learning. Number 16. As per section 73, time period is 3 years from the due date for furnishing annual return for the LMI. If government exchange due date where time limit, yes, of course, it will increase. Correct, Girish?
Yes, sir.
Section 73. Yeah, it will get increased. Yeah. On what basis we can challenge year 2000 audit for service tax? We'll have to say maybe the service tax law has not been saved. So that will go right up to Supreme Court. Next. Anything else? We'll give them some time, Vaibhav. If there anybody like me who's slow. If tax was defined, again, file and pay the I have already answered this. Next.
Done, sir. No questions.
Question over.
1 second, sir.
Yeah. Yes, repeat the saying will be ground by year 2000. Correct. Next. So it will be difficult to surmount. What is DIN? No requirement. Did you understand this question?
Yeah, sir. If they are electronically issuing notice or summons, then DIN has to be mentioned. That is actually mandatory.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
digital identification number.
Yeah. If so, it is required. If they don't mention, it is invalid notice. Correct.
Otherwise, they may issue physically a notice for the purpose of. But we generally don't hotspot of that DIN number not being there, if we can see the credentials of the officer.
Okay. So what Giri says, if that you are reasonably certain, because what all DIN is only to ensure that it's coming from a credible source. If you're sure about the credible source, then better not to just move. Because after all, ultimately when it goes to court, it will be substantive performed. Physical notice is not required. No, Girish. DIN number is required.
No,
Physical notice no.
Not required. Not required.
Not required. Yeah. Next. We'll wait. No hurry. I mean, no hurry.
So question 12, they are asking again to answer.
Pardon me. Question? Which question?
12 number, 1 second.
I'll answer no. He's come under 19. I think come back 19. We will answer. If taxable difference is exempt, and later on what is taxable file, he paid the tax, what you have paid the tax. Person may raise a show cause notice, but you can say I have paid the tax with interest. That should be okay. उनको पैसे से मतलब on that why mistakes everybody makes. No, that is 22. It will be a very big, long thing. Challenging anything under Article based on that this service tax thing only does not survive. You have to go to repeal saving, as I said, right up to Supreme Court. So this may not be the forum to look at this, and maybe you need to call a more High Court lawyer.
So no question here.
That 23, that person is trying, or what happened?
No, not there. Not there.
Fine. So before I hand over to you, I must thank the organizers, WRC, for which I shall ever be obliged for the learning I've been doing for years together, speaking way more than 20 years. I must also thank this organizer and the audience. In fact, every question is additional input education, and I would say I am still learning and will always be learning and will always be a student. Thank you very much. I'm really obliged.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for making all of us aware of such important and crucial facts and procedures, making them quite simpler and easier to understand. I hope handling departmental audit and notices under your valuable experience and guidance would be much more smoother for all of us now. We are now well versed with the areas which department may check and concurrently can alert the clients as well as our staff on the same. And we are also now geared up to take the preparatory measures and get ready to handle the departmental notices of GST. Sir, hereby I feel privileged to get an opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion. On behalf of Western Region of ICI, I convey my regards and thank you, sir, CA AR Krishnan, sir, that you simplified the topic in such a highly appreciable manner. I would also like to thank the whole managing team, our whole WRC team, CA Arpit Kabra sir, CA Vijit Kelkar sir, CA Manish Gadia sir, who left just some minutes before he had to leave. I thank the whole managing team for such a wonderful event. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants present here for their patient listening and active participation. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Meet you all at the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Vaibhav. Thank you very much. You are key
Welcome,
to
sir.
the
Bye bye.
Vaibhav, you are the key to the whole thing.